The patriotic anthem, Rule Britannia, Britannia Rule the Wave, is typically sung at the Royal Albert Hall on the last night of the pom each year. When the Romans invaded Britain in 55 BC, Great Britain was called
Albion,
which was eventually changed to
Britannia.
This Latin word alluded to England and Wales, although it was not used for many years after the Roman left. The name was then restored under the Empire reign, when it held more significance. The title Britannia is taken from the Greek historian
Diodorus Siculus,
1 BC, from the Britannic people, who the Greek believed dwelt in Britain. Britannic refer to those who live in Britannia. Additionally, Alfred sung state piece on August 1, 1740 at Clifton House, home of Frederick, Prince of Wales at the time.
Nice.
Usually, people only know that it was a poem written by James Thomson, a Scottish poet and a playwright. However, it was a co-written poem between Thomson and David Mallet, another Scottish poet, but he was not as well known as Thomson, thus people do not really recognize him. Nonetheless, an English composer, Thomas picked up the poem and composed it into a song. The music was composed to commemorate his grandfather, King George I, and the birth of his daughter, Princess Augusta. Alfred's story focused around Alfred the Great, a king who ruled over the Saxons from 971 to 999. Thomson's original intention was only to make it for a monk named Alfred, which was a story about Alfred the Great. The monk, set in 871, related to the tale of how Alfred sought refuge on the Isles of Lattanin, a settlement in Somerset. After being defeated by the Viking, Alfred exists at the end of the march to fight again, and this time he wins. To qualify, march was a popular form of court entertainment during the 16th and early 17th century. It consists of music, dancing, acting.
I was acting. Or was I?
It is similar to today's opera. Furthermore, Rule Britannia was a song related to the Britain Royal Navy and the country's domination over the seas.
Captain!
Yeah?
No!
To demonstrate his victory, the song Rule Britannia is performed with Alfred stating, "Briton, proceed, the subject deep command, all with your navies every saw Thailand." The choir respond by singing a representation of King Alfred leading his warriors into battle. The song was written in 1740s. Hence, the song came out even before Britain was about to totally dominate the seas over other powerful countries. The song came out in the age of exploration, when Britain was just starting to make their journey into the sea, after seeing the success of other countries that started before them. Britain can be truly said to have dominated the sea in the late 18th and 19th centuries. The 19th century was also a period of global economic and industrial development. The goal of powerful nations caused conflict, causing 2 world wars in the 20th century, and the beginning of the British Empire fall. There was also further decolonization, with just 14 territories remaining today. Rule Britannia has been renamed to Cool Britannia since 1996. This play represents modern Britain, the trendy nation of music, fashion, and media. It captures the spirit and buzzes of cosmopolitan cities such as London, Glasgow, Cardiff, and Manchester.
So you could see that Britannia was the original name given by Romans to the region that is now England and Wales. The waves represent the territory that mostly covered by water, like the expression of never will be slaves. It signifies Britain's superiority towards other nations. The heaven signifies powerful spiritual. The Briton believed that they worked under heaven's instruction, so they could control the tyrants and acknowledge Briton's power. And the poem also mentioned the Bill of Rights. It was signed on 1689 by the first. It was the charter of the land. And the charter was believed to be the representation of God's command. So, the purposes of the act are to certify freedoms and certify a Protestant political supremacy.
Nations not so blessed as thee must in their turns to tyrants fall, while thou shalt flourish great and free, the dread and envy of them all.
From this poem, because of heaven's blessing, tyrants or enemies could not defeat the British nation regarding its superiority. British power would be flourishing and free at its concept of liberty and prosperity for the Great Britain.
The blast that tears the sky, sets that to roots and native
In line 2, foreign stroke refers to foreign countries that are competitive to Britain, especially for imperialism. The more foreign stroke tries to attack Britain, the more majestic Britain will be. And Britain can be compared to be an oak tree with a strong root that would not be beaten down by any forces.
Haughty tyrants ne'er shall tame. All their attempts to bend thee down will but arouse thy generous flame, but work their woe and thy renown.
Haughty means arrogant. The poet described when the Britons invade others' land and call the natives tyrants. It can be seen that the Britons are superior to other races. It suggests that Britannia had a special opponent. They were portrayed as a generous character, which is contrast with the haughty tyrants. So it led to the use of binary opposition, humble versus haughty.
Thee belongs the rural reign. Thy cities shall with commerce shine. All thine shall be the subject main, and every shore it circles thine. Rule, Britannia, rule the waves. Britons never will be...
And this stanza just shows the compliments to Britain, like rurals and cities belong to Duke, the leader. The cities have successful trading.
The Muses, still with freedom found, shall to thy happy coast repair. Blessed isle, with matchless beauty crowned, and manly hearts to guard the fair. Rule, Britannia, rule the waves. Britons never will be slaves.
And the word muses. It refers to intellectual sources from science to art in Greek mythology. Fun fact, the word museum is rooted from the muses, as it is a place where all sources and knowledge are exhibited. And this contains a desire, so the beautiful idol would be guarded by British men. Do you guys notice that? The face. These phrases are repeated on the last part of each stanza, suggests the importance of this expression that the Great Britain was famous around the world. The poem tells about Britannia's effort to declare independence and strengthen the power against European countries.
Basically, implies how British Empire controlled across over the oceans because of its strong navy power and development. In the age of exploration, a rising of British imperialism was remarkably shown by sailing routes and its dominance. The expansion of British Empire was facilitated by the advancement and inventions. Technologies which led to powerful British Navy play a big part for British exploration and conquest the territory. Maps and navigation tools were more advanced. Steamboats were invented. It sped up the process of sailing across the globe. At its peak, Britain had control over a fifth of the landmass around the world, such as India, which is referred as the jewel in the crown, Australia as a penal colony, which was claimed by British Empire for the New South Wales in 1787, and Western Australia in 1829. Gold rush and development of agriculture brought more prosperity and also population into Australia. Because of its powerful and strong navy, British Empire would never be under any other nations. As evidenced in the Battle of Waterloo, France was defeated by Britain power, ended the year of Napoleonic War.
This is Sparta!
It also displayed British superiority that could be used as a tool for conquering foreign land and claiming that it is the right thing to do. As an example of the Indian colony, the Indian was seen as uncivilized, and British powers would civilize them by colonization, as they believed. A concept of white man's burden could further be noticed in this context, and it reflects their perspective toward the natives.
Although Rule Britannia was one of the poems that have been sung for many hundreds of years for celebration of patriotism and nation. Somehow, in the recent day, there is much criticism and controversy about this song, which tends to cancel and remove this song from the performance. Due to the fact that this song reminds people of the period of time in colonialism. Additionally, in the song includes the idea of slavery, as the part of the song says, "Rule Britannia, Britannia, rule the waves, Britons never, never shall be slaves." These two main disturbed ideas encourage people in nowadays in Britain to feel offended about the lyrics. Because in the recent time, there are many races living in Britain, and many of these people are descendants of slaves. In this point, it could be seen that the song raises the issue of racism, which they might not include these people to be part of Britain, as the lyric says that Britons never shall be slaves. Moreover, it influenced the group who believe in Black Lives Matter to protest about this song that it should be prohibited and removed from the performance. Furthermore, in terms of reminding people about colonialism, disturbs people in the way that there are many of them also the descendants of people who were killed by the British in the age of discovery. Consequently, it could be seen that this song celebrates the British Empire which killed millions of people, and that many ancestors of British people in the present day are the victims of colonialism.
Next, why it's famous? The first public performance of Britannia took place in London in 1745, and it quickly gained popularity among a people trying to lure the waves and expand. Indeed, the dominant adventurous advancement of other nations inspired Britain to follow as early as the 15th and 16th centuries. The phrase Rule Britannia has been utilized in a number of contexts due to its immense popularity. Richard Wagner adapted Rule Britannia for a concert overture he wrote in 1836. The tune was often quoted by Victorian comedic opera composer Arthur Sullivan. Rule Britannia was adopted as the Royal Norfolk Regimental March in 1881, and certain Royal Navy ships still go by the name HMS Britannia. The song is also always arranged for the BBC last night of the proms. Even today, the word Britannia evokes feeling of patriotism and pride.